I want to start by introducing you and then welcome everybody that's joining us for this conversation. So John, you and I have known each other a long time.
Sure.
You are the regional representative for Scabal, but aside from that, you've been in the clothing industry a long time. Why don't you just tell everyone who's joining how you got into the clothing industry, and then more importantly, how you joined Scabal?
Well, I actually joined the industry basically right out of college, and I fell in love with it immediately. It wasn't quite what I had planned to do with my degree from university, but that's the way it worked out. And loved the business, and was lucky because I started more on the quality and the luxury end of the business, and I reached out to Cabal and said, I'd really love to, I'd really love to work for you, and here I am. So, and I'm in my 8th year now with Cabal, and it's a great place to be. Wonderful company.
For those who aren't familiar with Scabal, I know when I first was introduced to the brand, it just has a luxury cachet to it that is unique and distinctive from some of the other fabric mills that we work with. Why don't you start from the beginning as far as where Scabal got its start, even as simple as the meaning behind the Scabal name?
Sure.
And we can chat a little bit about the company core values.
Well, it starts with a gentleman, Otto Hertz, who was the son of a tailor, and he was a cloth merchant based out of the Essen, Germany area. He, like myself, represented fabric collections and fabric collection, as this case may be. And we, like we're facing right now, global disruption with the pandemic. World War II was a similar type of event, global impact. Otto re-established his business base on the Rue Royale in Brussels in 1938. Okay. In the modern birth of, that was a strategic location, by the way, because of course next to the Royal Palace in Belgium and the Astoria Hotel. So there always has, as you say, a luxury cachet is part of the DNA here. However, the modern company really formed 1946, right after World War II. And the name Scabal is actually an anagram. It's, you'll have to pardon me if some of my pronunciations aren't spot on, but it stands for, the S is society, C is commercial, so basically business. The A is Anglo, which is England, where our mill is. B is Belgium, where our headquarters is. The second A is, we took some license there. It's French, Allemand, but it's that's the name for Germany in French. And then L is Luxembourg. So we consider England, Belgium, Germany, Luxembourg. That's what internally, if I'm at headquarters, it's called Scabal land. That's the original market of Scabal. It's the original target market of Scabal, if you will, kind of the heart of Central Europe. And so with the new launch, basically Otto kind of took the game up to a new level and really focused on collaborating with other people to help us create the cloth that he had in mind. And that period, right after the war, 1950s through the 70s, was a period of great growth for the company. So we branched out from Central Europe into Asia and eventually into America. But a key event there, right about as we get to the 70s, a couple of key events. 1970, Peter Thyssen, who was Otto Hertz's right-hand man, becomes the CEO of the company, and really starts to organize this growing global workforce and global company. And then we, in 1972, we have a showroom on Savile Row. 1973, we purchased our mill in Huddersfield. Those are all really key events. So we own our own mill in England, and that is the large source of many of our cloths. So very key event.
John, let me stop you right there. I think there's a lot of our clients and a lot of people tuning in who don't quite understand why having ownership of a mill, as important as it refers to both the quality and the types of fabrics that you produce. Can you elaborate a little bit on what it means to actually own the mill as Cabal does?
Well, what it gives us two things. All of our cloths are from either our own mill in England, and we will partner with, we are a fabric collection, always have been, from the days of Otto Hertz. So we'll collaborate with some mills to do things per our design as well. But what is nice about owning the own mill is it really is kind of a laboratory for us to create and to innovate. And when we're sort of partnering with other people, it's less, there's not as much innovation involved. When we're doing our own things, that's really where the magic is. And we, by controlling that and having a great natural asset, where the mill's located, we have fantastic water source, pure alkaline neutral based water, which is very important because the wool responds, it expands and it softens naturally just through the water process that it's exposed to and sponging and some of the various steps of the cloth. Very important. So having that mill, also having, of course, the vertical integration and the control, that's important as well.
Yeah, when it comes down to the water, I know I chat a lot of times with clients that are new to the clothing experience, and it's interesting. There's a lot of analogies between fabric production and bourbon is hot right now, right? It's
Sure.
the beverage right now, and I had a chance to visit northern Kentucky, and there's limestone, natural limestone that the rivers and the ponds run over, and that's limestone gives the water a certain minerality and pH balance. Same principle holds true when it comes to creating fine yarns that are turned into cloth that are then turned into suits and sport coats. Could you just explain a little bit why England, specifically where the mill is located, is one of those places that is known for its soft water?
Well, the water it's a mountain source. Okay, so there's a filtration process that occurs naturally, and then the result of that constant filtration is that pH balanced, neutrally balanced water, that softer water. That's very important. Now, I mean, you'll know in Huddersfield, the milling activities go back to the 1600s. Okay, there was fabric being made. It wasn't called Scabal, but there's fabric being made on our site hundreds of years ago. Okay, hundreds of years ago, centuries ago, and they figured out a long time ago how critical that water is. I mean, if you go over to Italy, where most of the mills, they're Biella, they're up close to the Alps, right? Because they get that beautiful water supply that nature provides for us to do beautiful things with fabric.
Yeah, so to summarize, yarn is a natural material. Wool, comes from sheep, and the cloth has to be washed multiple times throughout the production process that absorbs the dyes. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, with all of the modern technology we have, there's still nothing better than the purest wool sources, or water sources rather, that are found in specific regions. And that would be one of the regions would be a place where Scabal is located. It seems that Scabal has been known for their innovation over the years. Can you talk about some of the different things that Scabal has come up with throughout the years?
Well, certainly. We have always been known for innovation. I appreciate you pointing that out, David, because we've sort of always pushed the envelope in terms of quality, in terms of luxury. It's who we are. So, for instance, the first Super 120s yarns were introduced by Scabal, and that was in early 70s. Early 90s, first 150s to the market, Scabal. And I believe the 180s and 200s also, those barriers were also introduced by Scabal as well. But one of the reasons we're talking today is about diamond chip, just one of many fabrics. We offer a lot of luxury fabrics, but the diamond chip process is a very interesting one. I don't know if you're ready to talk about it yet or not, but
Yeah, that's a good segue, as that's the
I don't want to jump the gun.
Yeah, so go ahead and explain how that came about.
Diamond chip is a blend of a Super 150s fiber, and also we wrap that with silk. And after it's done being combed and cleaned, the yarn, not the fabric, we will take a industrial grade micro diamonds, bits of them. We essentially lay it onto the yarns, and I haven't seen the process, but it's in there. So what we do then is that's when we weave the cloth. So the diamonds are actually set on the strands, and then they go to the loom, and then they're woven in. Ironically, 60th anniversary of Balani Diamond Chip's anniversary is I've seen 2 dates, but I think this is the 20th anniversary for Diamond Chip as well. It's something that hadn't been done in the industry, to take minerals, incorporate them into the fabric, and then bring the cloth forward. Usually the first thing people ask for is, well, don't the diamonds fall out? No, and the answer is no. Don't have to worry about that. This is a tried and true process, and you can dry clean it, you can do everything, but it's what it does, in addition to being beautifully soft from the 150s and the silk, it gives it a natural that's really, really different. And people, they can't help but respond to it. It's very attractive cloth.
Well, plus there's something to be said about wearing diamonds, right? So it's definitely a splurge, and really, really cool. I've seen the actual fabrics myself for the first time this week, and I would agree. There's a luster to the cloth that's tough to quantify, and it's spectacular from what I've seen so far. Let me segue for a minute here, Jon, if I might, and just share with you, or share with those joining us, why we're so glad to partner with you and the Diamond Chip collection. Balani, for those who don't know, is also celebrating our 60th anniversary. Really remarkable when you think back to how this company was founded. Mr. Peter Balani, who apprenticed on Savile Row, where the finest men's clothing in the world is produced, worked there for a handful of years, and then immigrated to Chicago in 1961, and really was a one-man operation for the first 4 decades. Sonny Balani, who's our CEO and runs the company, joined about 2 decades ago, and has really grown and scaled Balani to something that was far bigger and different than what Mr. Balani had initially envisioned. And last year, as we were dealing with some of the different challenges, as everyone was, that came as a result of the pandemic, Sonny said there was no way in the world that we wouldn't not only exist but thrive, and to get into our 60th anniversary. And so it's really cool to see that we have entered our 60th year, and we're in 13 different markets currently and still growing. And it's really cool to see that we have not only survived but thrived past the pandemic. So thank you for joining, partnering with us with the Diamond Collection.
Congratulations to you and the entire Balani team on that, achieving that milestone. It is significant. Everyone's had major challenges recently, so to get through it, to get to the other side, and to thrive as you're doing, it's remarkable. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, Jon, I know you and I spoke last year when we were more or less in the abyss. I would say the worst.
What abyss?
the deepest throes of the pandemic. And in your history in the clothing business, I'm sure you've never seen anything quite like what we experienced over the past 18 months.
no, no, nothing. I took calls from people virtually every day. What do we do? We've never seen it like this. And I said, well, I've never seen it like this. But the first thing that you want to do is reach out to your customers and just make sure they're okay. That's it. Just call them. Let's leave it at that. And when this thing started hitting, I don't think anyone really knew what was going to happen. I sure didn't know what was going to happen.
Sure.
We were hoping it was going to be over in a couple of months. Not so, as we found out, as we all found out. But I think there was a time to just take stock of who we are as people and reach out and make sure everybody's okay. And fortunately for all of us, we're beyond that point, and we're able to return more and increasingly to a normal lifestyle, and people are celebrating and living again.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen with business, and with weddings are starting to happen. Things, it's a good environment, and God bless everybody for that. So
I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Balani on several occasions, and it's fascinating to see the relationships that he's built. In certain instances, he's made clothing for 3 different generations of gentlemen who are in different Balani outfits, and they certainly stepped up. Our client base was hugely supportive of the company throughout the past 18 months. And, Sonny, to Sonny's credit, he had the wisdom. We talked a lot about where we were going to head as a company. And, there was this temptation to become a pure casual with work from home being what it was. But Sonny was wise enough to look in the future and look at the past. Candidly, in the last, global pandemic that was somewhat close to what we're experiencing with COVID was the Spanish flu of 1918. And the decade that followed, of course, was known as the Roaring '20s. And I know from my perspective, John, I've seen that last year we certainly were way more in the sport coat category as opposed to the suit category. But since this year started, I've seen that level out. What are you noticing across the country as you're supplying your vendors?
I couldn't agree with you more, David. It's going into the pandemic, I heard all the time, sport coats, sport coats, sport coats. Not selling suits very much. Well, that changed. That changed this year. It's been a wonderful year for suits. I'm really excited. We like the suit business, and we like all business, of course. But it's gratifying to see, despite what you might hear in the media about everything being casual, no one's ever going to wear a suit again. That's really not what's happening. You know it, and I know that that's not exactly what's happening on Main Street. So it's nice to see a rebound. It's nice to see multiple generations of gentlemen dressing again. I think that's very gratifying. People say, "Oh, the young people are so can." So you've got that wrong. There's a great core of young buyers that are really turned on to the custom process and about elegance and quality, and they're going to be fine. So your business is going to be fine, and I think our business. So.
Yeah, as a company, we set a benchmark in June. We had our best month ever, 60 years of existence. And it seems like that trend has continued right through the fall. So we're anticipating an awesome finish to the year. I want to get into some specifics with some of the different collections and get your feedback on some collections. But before we do, I just mentioned a couple of things for those of us joining. We'll have some time at the end for specific questions for you, John. And so if you're joining us and you want to type in your question, we'll try to get to as many of those as possible towards the end of this conversation. The Diamond Chip collection is an exclusive fabric, and you and Scabal have been generous enough to partner with us and offer a really generous prize. So I'll make the announcement now as far as how you can get entered into the contest we're running through the end of the year. But if you purchase a Scabal fabric as a suit from any Balani location, we'll automatically enter you into our drawing you get 2 entrances into the drawing for a complimentary diamond ship Scabal suit made through Balani. If you purchase a sport coat from now through December 31st, 2021, you'll get one entry into the giveaway. There are no limits. So if you've been thinking about a complete wardrobe refresh, this would be a great excuse to do so, and check in with any of your Balani representatives to go through some of the different collections. Also, for those of you joining this live webinar, we will be giving away 5 of the diamond ship ties, which I had the opportunity to get one, and they really do have an awesome hand feel as well. So we'll be announcing those names before we wrap up here. Jon, if you don't mind, I want to go through some different categories and just talk about what makes some of the different collections that you represent specific. And we'll start with the jacket that I'm wearing, which is from the Mosaic book. It's one of my all-time favorite sport jackets, and it's a great place to start for somebody who hasn't tried a Scabal fabric. Can you talk a little bit about the Mosaic sport coat collection?
Sure. Yeah, Mosaic is 100%. We're going to shift from suits now and go into sport coats, because Mosaic, although we sell Mosaic as suitings too, but for people that want a little bit more pattern in their suit. But it's all patterns. It's all a 260 gram material, which is a year-round weight. So you're not going to be limited as to when you can wear the fabric. But it's a beautiful collection of plaids, checks, and the fabric itself it's got a very soft luster to it, but not a huge amount of luster to it. So great collection of patterns. And what I think separates the book, I think, is I just think it's a beautifully curated book. I think it's one of the things that we do that maybe we don't get credit for as a company. When you pick up some of the books, Mosaic in particular, I think it's just one great looking pattern after the next. It's like a murderer's row. It's like, how do you choose? But in a selection is going to be made, and someone's going to find someone that they like in that book, because I think beautifully executed. And that's the credit to Michael Denny, who's our chief fabric designer, and has been with the company forever.
Yeah, I recall, Jon, the first time you introduced Mosaic, just describing the reason behind the name is the beautiful different colors that are woven into the different fabrics, and they create just really three-dimensional sport jacket materials. Again, it's got a soft look to it and just a great feel, which is, again, why it's one of my all-time favorite jackets to wear. Super 130s right across the board.
All Super 130s, yes.
Yep.
And you'll natural tones, you'll have jewel tones, your navies, of course. All of us like navy in our closet somewhere along the line. So
I'm still seeing a lot of the bottle greens, the vintage greens, some of the plum reds as accent colors. And then I'm seeing a lot of earth tones this season as well, more so than I've seen in previous years. And that's kind of cool, just to change it up a little bit. This peach color with the light blue was one of my favorites from the collection as well. So to pair up with that, I've shown this cloth, the new deluxe. You could make a suit out of it, but I typically show this as a trouser. Do you mind sharing with those of us joining what makes this great material to turn into a dress pant or a casual pant?
Well, it's New Deluxe is the opposite of Mosaic, in that where Mosaic is all patterned, New Deluxe is all solid. Okay, so we'll start there. It's a super hundreds quality, also essentially the same weight as Mosaic. So again, it's a weight that's very utilitarian. The cloth has a wonderful handle to it, and it surprises people because it's a super hundreds, but if you give it a blind eye and give it the feel test, it's going to feel much richer than that. And what's great about it is you've got about 60 shades. All of your basic shades are in there. Anything that you could possibly use for trousers, for all your tans, grays, navies, of course. But then you've got a lot of great fashion colors in there as well. Reds, greens, orange, yellow, full spectrum of color, and really easy book to use, and one that, again, coming out of the pandemic, I've we always sell it well. It's just absolutely exploded. So
From a construction standpoint, what is the weave on this? Is
it's
it
well, yes.
and for those not familiar with what that means, and I will attest to the fact, John, there is literally every color that somebody could possibly want in here. It's like the rainbow. But a 2x2 twill is, if you were to take the yarn, roll it up, it just doesn't wrinkle. And it's because the vertical and the horizontal threads of wool have two strands that makes it extra sturdy, extra durable. Even though it's a lightweight or medium weight fabric, it's not going to have wrinkling. It's going to be extremely resilient as well. So great travel trouser. I've actually had guys text me that they used to fly in blue jeans and they prefer the New Deluxe as a trouser. And so that, I think, speaks to the comfort of those. From a suiting standpoint, I know this is not Scabal's best-selling collection across the board, but here at Balani, we seem to move an incredible amount of the Londoner collection. Can you share with our?
Yeah, it is a very steady collection now. The Londoner is a 140s at about 280 grams, 160 grams, also in the mid-weight range. And it does have a little bit of sheen to it. So it's a very elegant looking cloth. Big book. You've got about 70 swatches. So probably 60%, 70% of it is going to be patterns. And then you've got some solid, maybe even a little bit more, maybe 80% of it's patterns. And then you've got about 20% solid. So again, huge amount of flexibility. You'll have even within the solids, you'll have a lot of the kind of the variegated, where we've taken two different color yarns. Even though it comes off as one color, you've got two different shades of that color. So you've got that effect going on, and then of course the basic solids as well. But it's Londoner at 140s. Again, it's right in that wonderful weight that everyone's comfortable committing to, because they know that it'll keep them reasonably warm in the winter, and it's going to keep them cool in the summer. Wool is unsurpassed in that its ability to breathe, which is why our industry centers on wool, because it's a wonderful fabric that way. But big collection, and it's very important to us.
We've also noticed a huge increase in formal weddings, formal wear that we've been making for our clients. And there's quite a few patterns tucked in this book that make for exquisite dinner jackets and tuxedos as well.
Yeah, the micro designs, Scabal, are very important to Scabal. And Londoner is a book with many of them in there. The Galaxy book has quite a few too. And so you can, with a book like Scabal, which is, or like Londoner, excuse me, which is, it's a little bit more sophisticated book. The beauty in that is, if you're going daytime to evening, it's a natural, right? If you're going from the office to some a little bit dressier affair, you're going to be right in there with that. And of course, you can utilize it for formal wear as well, as David pointed out.
Absolutely. The last book I'd love to get your insight in, as we're definitely changing seasons here and weather is dropping. We've seen a big demand for car coats and coats. This season, we actually launched a collection of really unique styled modern car coats and top coats. So Zeus, not only having an awesome name, is a really intriguing collection. Would you mind chatting a little bit about some of the different fabrics in the Zeus collection?
Well, Zeus is a big book, also probably about 60 swatches or so, really geared towards, David goes right to the cashmere, of course, really geared towards overcoatings and some of the car coats and things like that we're doing more and more of. So you'll have patterns in there as well as solids. You'll have pure wools, you'll have wool cashmere blends, you'll have pure cashmeres, and everything from little micro, like crow's feet designs. You'll have exploded plaids, which have been very hot. The larger exploded Glen plaids. There you go. And it's a very, very deep book for outerwear, and gives you many options.
Yeah, and I would say, of all the different custom pieces that I own, the piece that I probably am complimented most often is outerwear, because very few guys have jackets that actually fit appropriately. And there's lots of options from both a design and a pattern and a color point in that collection right there. So cool. I want to switch over to some questions that we've had from people joining us, and I'm going to feed them over to you. And then we'll circle back towards the end, see if we can get a sneak peek of what's coming up in the spring. Terry Palmer from, doesn't say where he's from, but he's joining us and asked, is the diamond chip fabric hard to maintain, and where would you suggest cleaning it?
It is not hard to maintain as long as you have a quality dry cleaner. If you're talking about post wear, if you're talking about getting it clean, I personally think it's always a good policy. If you want to trust your dry cleaner, but if you're taking it in, let them know that you need a little TLC on this cloth, because they don't want to have to replace it. And it really will dry clean like any other suit, as long as people are paying attention. And it's really not an issue. We're not bombarded with taking suits back because the dry cleaner messed them up. They don't. You don't have to worry about, with diamond chip, you don't have to worry about any sort of fabric failure with the diamonds falling out or anything like that. But I do think it's good policy to, when you take your suit into the dry cleaner, just let them know that you like their best person on it and you'd like it handled with care. But in terms of everyday wearing, it's gonna wear beautifully. It does have some great elasticity and some memory to it. So I think it's a special occasion suit. I think it should always be worn. I don't think it's really an everyday kind of suit, but it does perform. If you're talking about everyday wear, it does perform well. If you're talking about cleaning, there are no real, there's nothing you have to do differently with that suit. You just want it handled with care. That's all.
Rule of thumb is, with all of your better clothing, just find a skilled dry cleaner who knows what they're doing, and you'll be good to go. No special instructions beyond that.
I mean, there's other basic things, just space your clothing out, let it breathe after you wear it. Don't clean with, let the pros clean. Okay. If you see a problem, don't try to do it yourself.
Yeah. Edward, looks like he is joining us from the Chicago location, wanted your insight as to 3D collections like the Capriccio collection. Do you see some of those in the pipeline, or is that something that you will have more of down the line?
Capriccio, I think that's more of a boucle.
Okay.
So 3D, I guess that's a good, I like that. But it's, when we talk about the new collections, there's kind of a spring weight version of that we'll talk about shortly. So the answer is yes. We will have more of the softer, loftier fabrics that you can do soft jacketings out of, because Capriccio almost has kind of a sweater appearance to it, if you will.
And when you say boucle weave, when I think of like a knitted material is what I think of there. So since we're talking about what's in the pipeline, give us a sneak peek as to the Scabal spring collection.
Okay, you'll be focusing as Team Balani on 3. It'll be, some of you will get a book called Wizard, which is a fantastic new Super 170s range, all solids, but it's it has a handle like some of our 220s. I mean, it's really wonderful. So will be great for suits, of course, great for the boardroom, great for trousers. And it also has kind of a natural stretch to it as well. Really a beautiful cloth. Everyone will be getting a book I'm excited about that is called Silver Cloud. Silver Cloud is a cool wool, so a little bit more crisp to the hand, but it's all Super 120s, so really nice quality of wool. 240 grams, so it's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more seasonal. So for your locations in some of the warmer climates, I think they're really going to love this cloth, because not only does it feel crisp to the touch, but it also has a lot of great natural memory to it. The 120s still keeps it, still gives it kind of a luxury handle, and good broad palette in there. Also a lot of the earth tones that you were talking about with Silver Cloud. Okay, and then last but not least, you'll be focused on Amalfi, which is we always do what we call a resort book, where we sort of de-emphasize the wool in that book. So again, very seasonal for summer, spring, early fall. And when I say de-emphasize wool, there'll still be woolen selections in there, of course, but you'll see a lot of silk and linen and some cotton in there. And then as Mr. Palmer just asked about, I think, or was it Edward?
Yep.
But
it was...
Edward, about the more active wear, or the more knit fabrics. We have in Amalfi a small, sorry about that, a small section called Amalfi Comfort, and that will be a natural. There's solid herringbones, and there's some solid tick weaves and things like that, but there are loftier, and they'll be ideal for the soft jacket unconstructed.
Gotcha. Okay. So we've gotten a lot of buzz just because Daniel Craig wore that spectacular dinner jacket to the premiere of Tomorrow Never Dies. And I know we've chatted about this before, but Scabal has been featured in quite a few just landmark movies. What are some other films that Scabal fabric has made an appearance in?
Sure. Well, my favorite, and sorry, sentimentalist at heart, but Marlon Brando in The Godfather, for his daughter's wedding, his tuxedo was Scabal. We've been in actually a great film for clothing was Wall Street. When Alan Flusser did the design, we had
the original Michael Douglas.
There. Yes, the original Michael Douglas. Charlie Sheen, I think, was in there too, if I'm not mistaken. Aviator, Titanic, Men in Black, also had featured some Scabal. Lots of Bond movies, GoldenEye, the new one, No Time to Die, Skyfall, beautiful, elegant navy tuxedo was that Daniel Craig wore was also Scabal. For any of you that are like really film fans, a movie that I saw in the theaters back in the day, Prizzi's Honor, that was also featured a lot of Scabal. But there's
I see a trend with gangster films and your favorites. Was it Casino? Weren't there some outfits in Casino as well?
Yes. No, DiCaprio's worn a lot of Scabal. The other thing, and these are all cool and they're fun and everybody relates to them, but the other thing to remember about the films is film producers and production companies in Hollywood are notorious for trying to slash costs of, by any means possible. But that doesn't happen with the leading men. Why? Because the cameras pick up everything. The clothing has to look good. The cloth's gotta go where the cloth is supposed to go. It's got to drape properly. It's got to wear well. It can't be flying away. And quality fabric is a requirement on these films. And that's
quite a few notable men that I think have incredible style, and I've noticed are in Scabal. Is David Beckham also a Scabal client?
Beckham, Benedict Cumberbatch. The jacket that you referred to from Daniel Craig was it's not actually, he wore one of our velvet jackets, and it's not actually in the film. That's out of his personal collection, which I'm equally proud of. So plus he's been seen recently with one of our cotton suits, kind of sky blue cotton suit that's one of ours too. So
right on. Well, I'm gonna just summarize again. Thank you, Jon, for your time. I really appreciate you taking time to chat with us. And I just want to reiterate the Balani Scabal diamond chip contest running now through the end of the year. Again, very straightforward. Purchase a Scabal suit through Balani from now through December 31st. Get 2 entries into the contest. We'll be giving the winner a diamond chip suit. If you purchase a sport coat or an overcoat, you'll be getting 1 entry into the contest. No limit as to how many items you can purchase. So again, great time to redo your wardrobe. For those of us joining on the call today, you were generous enough to contribute some of the diamond chip ties, which are made from the fabric that the suit is made from, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Muster. And I will go ahead and talk about the people who have won those ties. So Eric Kessler, Jim Lang, Terry Palmer from Dayton, Ohio, Glenn Lamoth, and Emmanuel Dressy. Reach out to your clothier in your respective markets, and they will coordinate with you to connect you with the diamond chip ties. Jon, again, I really appreciate your time. Always love learning about the history, the legacy of Scabal. Anything that you'd like to add in closing?
Well, I want to congratulate your team again for longevity and the effort it takes to get there. And let's have a wonderful season together. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to talk about our company, and you've been wonderful partners with us for many, many years, and we're proud to do that with you. So
awesome. Appreciate you saying so. Thank you for everyone joining. Have a great finish to your day, great finish to your week.
Thank you.